how do you decide that animation is what I want to do?
Yeah, I feel like animation encompasses everything which I wanted to do, from drawing to sound to even sequential narrative, which I do with comics, because it takes amazing amount of patience. But I think the output is what rewards you, because you're giving life to inanimate objects.
Amalendu, what's up, man?
Hey.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Absolut Creative Commune. Before we get started with anything, tell me about this place we're in. You brought us to this amazing spot.
So we are here in Chandrapur. It's close proximity to Guwahati, and it's the riverside Brahmaputra. And this is where I mostly come and chill and do sketches, take my inspiration.
I think the river plays a very important part in the piece that you made for the commune as well. Tell us about your life, man. How did you get into animation? How did that happen?
Oh, animation mostly came because I grew up watching cool cartoons like Samurai Jack and Batman Beyond, and that's two cartoons which have been very poignant in my life. In the backdrop, my father is a fine artist, so I grew up with paintings, going to galleries and stuff. So it was very natural to me to see these things every day, and I thought I'll probably become something else, musician or something. But then I think visual art is something I was good at. And then animation is something which I grew up watching, so I had to merge these two things, right? And then that's why I got into NID and then started my career there. Yeah.
Nice. And this was NID at Paldi.
Yeah, Paldi,
Nice.
Ahmedabad. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And did you always know that NID was the way to go, or?
I had no idea, man. I think my dad knew about NID more than me.
Yeah.
But then I later discovered a lot of my mentors which I grew up watching on TV, be it on television channels where you see Art Attack and all this stuff. I think those people were from the college, so I was like, okay, this is something I should be going and get trained.
Nice. And before you went to university to study art, had you already started dabbling with illustration or drawing or art?
I think
in
I have
general?
been doing comics since class 3, 4.
Wow.
In school I used to do comics for my friends, and we exchanged this. He used to give me actual DC comics or something like that. I used to give my own hand-drawn comics, something like that. So it's been very supportive, both in terms of my family and friends.
Nice.
So I think that was quite natural progression.
And this was in Guwahati school?
It was in Guwahati as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. How does that change when you go from sort of drawing for the love of the art and exposing yourself to comics and things like that? What changed after you got to NID?
Before it was I was just doing things without any rules and stuff. I think it was important to learn the rules to break it again. So I think NID gave me structure and context to what I'm doing, be more elaborate about what I'm doing instead of just painting something. It need to have a story, it need to have a context and a certain grammar, which kind of puts the structure in much more organized way. I guess that helped me a lot to kind of make it more elaborate in what I was doing. Yeah.
I think it also makes it more intentional to have that structure to work within. You can really tell the story that you want to tell in a sort of formalized way.
Correct, because I learned communication design and animation design. So I think design plays a big role when you're doing certain things in certain intent, I guess. So that help you, transition your things, what in your head to what's on paper. I think that process is very important to learn. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
And then I think there's also the difference of growing up in a beautiful place like Guwahati and then going all the way to the other side of the country. What was life in Guwahati like?
Guwahati is very slow. We call this the place of lahe lahe. That means it's a slow paced land,
Nice.
So everybody is like that, But I think that's also plus point sometimes, because we take things slowly to absorb and observe things around you, and that helps you with your art for sure. But when I went to Bombay or Ahmedabad, it's very fast paced, right? But that's also important to kind of get those qualities. And when I came back to Guwahati again after college and working in Bombay, I think it was helpful to implement those principles here as well. So it's a balance, I guess.
Nice.
Yeah.
And did you have a lot of friends that got into art when you were younger?
Not really, not really. I think I had more musician friends.
Okay, cool.
You
Yeah,
know,
okay,
because-
cool. They were still
Yeah.
artists, but
yeah,
different kind,
Basically, like, you know, there are a lot of musicians who are into punk, metal. So I grew up with a lot of heavy metal and punk stuff.
Nice.
So that also has an inspiration in my visual art because I used to make you know, logos for them.
Sweet.
You know, for local bands, I used to
Yeah.
make artworks for them, t-shirt designs and stuff. So that's how I think I started literally the design in general through doing for musicians and artists like that. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Do you think it's changed what Guwahati is like compared to when you grew up here?
Pretty much a lot. A lot has changed now. I think it's more similar to other cities now. You know, in our time, I think it was slightly more secluded. So that also gave you. I think there are a lot of subcultures back then. I think be it like, you know, rock and roll or metal, and there are a lot of bands playing local music, artists doing really unique artwork. There was no social media back then, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was quite cool to see, you know. But now it's accessible, so it's also better. Like new artists are coming up with amazing experiments, and also
sure.
we're also part of the community. So yeah.
Nice. Man, I always find it very interesting because I look around, you know, Guwahati and Assam, and I'm like, it's so picturesque. It's beautiful landscapes. And then somehow there's a punk and metal scene that's just, I think, some of the best punk and metal music in India that comes from here.
Correct.
I always found that contrast very, very interesting.
Yeah.
I think music, like you said, has played a really important role in your work. But I want to come to animation, and I think, again, animation and music also share like a very unique relationship. It's telling stories in this very meticulous sort of way.
Correct.
How do you decide that, you know, animation is what I want to do? I know you already sort of drawing and making comics, but animation is a whole different practice altogether.
Yeah, I feel like animation encompasses everything which I wanted to do. From drawing to sound to filmmaking to even sequential narrative, which I do with comics. I think everything comes together in animation. I think that's like the master of all discipline in art, which I found. You know, it's one of the most challenging discipline because it takes amazing amount of patience. It's painstakingly slow process, but I think the output is what rewards you at the end because you are giving life to inanimate objects, like, you know, and somebody told me, like, animation is not the drawings which are moving, it's not the drawings which are flickering, it's the movements which are drawn. That means you have to observe the things around you, you know, in order to give life to your drawings. So there's a big difference, like, you know, instead of just making a keyframe rather than having life to it, you know. So yeah, I think animation has everything which I wanted to do, and I'm very happy to be doing what I'm doing right now.
It's amazing, man. And when you first started doing animation, what were the kind of things that you were playing with? Like, what were the subjects? What were the moods or stories that you were kind of playing with?
It's funny because I started with like sci-fi and stuff. I was always fascinated by, you know, tech and sci-fi and stuff, like, and aliens and stuff, right? That's how I grew up, you know, watching a lot of 2001 Space Odyssey and stuff like that. But like when I went to NID and you are literally in a field to like do whatever you want, and it's also easy to get lost there because everybody is doing sci-fi or tech stuff, right? Then I think sometimes you get lost. So that there was a period I was just searching for my voice, like what do I want to really speak about? I had the skills, I know the tools now, but where is the story? Where is it coming from? If I have to be really honest with myself, I think it's the place where I'm coming from. So be it like the stories which I heard from my granny, be it the stories which I heard from a shopkeeper here, be it meeting somebody in the field and exchanging conversations. I think those are the things which you get back when you're going to the studio and then start drawing. So those are the stories which I have been inspired by, you know, and that's my inspiration literally.
Nice. And I think it also speaks a lot to identity, right? I always feel like hand-drawn animation specifically is such like it's a very visceral form of art. There's very little room to hide. You know, I think sometimes with 3D, for example, not that this is a bad thing, but in 3D you can hide things on the side. You can put things out of the scene. But with hand-drawn scenes that are in 2 dimensions, what you see is what you get.
Right.
And you have to tell that story within that very basic sort of form of line drawing, color, movement. That's it. Like, there's no special effects.
I feel like 2D animation, which you said, frame by frame animation, there is no shortcut.
Yeah.
Right, and learning the process takes you years. I'm still learning like the fundamentals. I keep going back to fundamentals. I sometimes teach children also, like, you know, the college kids, and that's still like sometimes, oh, I need to get back to that fundamental, you know. And it's okay to break them, but it's also important to learn these principles, because like in 2D animation there is no shortcut, right? At least if you know those, you can be slightly faster.
For sure.
And in that process it's also easier to get lost, because it takes years to master it, right? And if you feel frustrated, okay, it's not coming out, why are the arcs, what is this, why is it not working, why is my story not coming impactful? So I think it's always important to again step back and relook at the discipline itself. Like, why is animation special than any other discipline? Why not filmmaking? Why not like you know, shooting it right with a camera? You can make a film as well.
For sure.
But as a discipline, animation has, I think it has more emotional weight when you're working with fantasy, you're working with, you know, a lot of psychological work, you know, like psychedelic, you know, a lot of things. You can go very dreamy about it. While for me, I'm also slowly, you know, putting animation in a context of cinema, because I grew up watching a lot of cinema. So I think I'm trying to see if animation can be done for adults, you know, as cinema rather than just for kids, because I grew up watching a lot of kids cartoon. But I also have a huge inspiration from Akira Kurosawa. You know, a lot of these you know, veteran filmmakers. So I think those inspiration I try to put in animation and then see how it goes, you know. That's an experiment.
Nice. And what is the process of making animation look like today compared to, let's say, when you started off in university? I'm sure the technology curve, even though it's hand-drawn, even though it is laborious, I'm sure there is a technology curve that's happened, right?
Yeah, for sure. So we started, we did our animation in paper, literally, like, you know, the Disney way, the old flipping paper, you know. And then you have this light box, massive LED light box, where you can see through the, it's called onion skins, basically. If you have to see through the previous drawings, then you can draw the, you know.
Right. So wait, for somebody who doesn't know how this works, you're basically saying there's a page on which you draw. And then you add a second page on top, but it's a see-through page.
See-through page. No, basically you're seeing through because there's a light behind it.
Okay,
it's called a light box. So you have a big light table. Above that you put the papers.
Right.
So you cannot stack too many also.
Got it.
Because that will become opaque, right? You won't see through.
Okay.
So you have a limitation of like 5 papers. Those are like 5 frames of drawing where you have to kind of get your whole. Let's say if you're doing 10 seconds of animation, those 5 drawings is all you have to imagine the 10 seconds of animation.
For sure.
But there are a lot of in-between drawings which you have to put later on. But these keys, no? These are called keyframes.
Right.
So that is something you slowly develop. Okay, my keys are right. This drawing is right. Because it's all about timing and spacing. Right? You have to work with physics, you have to work with acting. It's so many technicalities apart from these emotional things which you have to put in the story. So it's very easy to get lost, as I said, you know. But then once you get a hang of those things technically, then you can think more of the story, the concept.
Creative.
So that comes way later. For me also, it was like 4 years of just grinding,
the technique,
learning the technique, and then you step back, okay, what I want to say is, that's something.
So with this page by page technique, where you're doing frame by frame animation, let's say if you were doing 10 seconds of animation, how long would that take if you were doing it on paper?
On paper, 10 seconds will probably take 2 weeks if I have to do it properly.
Wow.
Because like for 1 second, we have to do around 12 drawings. Right. So 12 drawings, like, you know, you put it on 2s, basically duplicating 1 drawing, each drawing. But still, I think 10 seconds is a very long duration for us.
That's intense, man. And then sort of jumping in time warp to where we are now, like what does the process look like these days?
A lot has changed. Now there is AI, there's people experimenting with motion. There is motion design in general has been, you know, adapted from, you know, these fundamentals which we have learned in animation, right? So the discipline of motion design, there's 3D, which is keyframe animation, right? Which I have learned way later after college and everything. I think that's makes your work really fast, you know, and you can play with the abstract space as well, you know. And tools have really helped to, you know, visualize things much faster. I think that's very liberating to think.
Right.
You know.
What does your toolkit look like now? Like
Right
if earlier
now-
it was light box, paper, page, what does it look like
Yeah,
now?
probably less paper now because
Yeah.
it's very painstakingly slow process,
Yeah.
you know, and you have to deliver something, you know,
Yeah.
make 10 seconds. It cannot take 2 weeks.
Yeah, for sure.
So right now my tool is TV Paint. It's a
Okay.
French animation software.
Okay.
It's an industry standard for 2D animation. It's really
Nice.
good. It's fast.
Nice.
And otherwise, I'm creating my iPad all the time, where we have Dreams. Procreate Dreams is a very good app.
Okay.
So yeah, if I'm in a cafe, I'm still drawing keyframes. So for Absolut piece, I was hopping around different locations and
Nice.
you know, trying to do this small animation every day.
Nice.
You know.
How long it would take? Let's say if you were to make 10 seconds of frame by frame
Mm-hmm.
with this new technique or pipeline that you're working with, how long does that take?
I think now it will take probably 5 days.
Right. Okay. So it's literally halved.
Literally half, yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Amazing. I find it interesting that you said you're able to carry your iPad and you can just sort of work in different places. This is something I've been asking a lot of my artist friends and the other artists in the commune roster as well. Like, how do they approach work? Because for some people, I think it can be they need to be in the studio with their tools in their space. You know, it needs to be quiet and so on. But you seem like you're comfortable moving around and being in different places.
I think the pre-production side, where I have to think about the concept and the storyboards and everything, that's something I need my own space.
Okay.
It has to be a quiet space.
Right.
I have to be in my element and zone, you know, because if you start doing animation, because those are technical stuff, right?
Yeah.
Then I can work from anywhere.
Okay.
But the initial idea of thinking, planning what I will do has to be more elaborate. The script and the storyboard. That phase, I think you have to work from a quieter space, which is probably my home
Right.
studio. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Speaking about the piece you made for Commune, I've seen it. It's a beautiful film. I'm very excited for everyone to see it. Can you tell everyone a bit more about the film itself?
For me, like Born Colorless was a very amazing theme. You know, it's very liberating to think. It has so many ideas you can put in. You know, so for me, Born Colorless is I grew up in this place where there is so many colors, right? And like, you know, growing up with this so many diversity in this place, I feel like that's what makes us colorless. To think what is the more humane thing you can do. Right. So as a concept, like that was my idea. Like, you know, it's the form which have not taken its shape yet. Like, you know, so for me the piece is mostly inspired by the river Brahmaputra. So this is our life giver and the life taker. You know, so it's the blue river, the red river and the blue hill.
Okay.
The life giver and the life taker. So
Wow.
that's my basic inspiration, because like everything around Brahmaputra has been inspired in the piece which have been put on. Be it a boatman, be a shopkeeper, be it somebody who's gazing here, you know. So I think mostly the river. That's why I call the Born Colorless is inspired by the river Brahmaputra. Yeah.
Also, I think the river in the context of, you know, this particular place is very special because there are so many different things that come together at the river.
Yeah.
There's people, animals,
Yeah.
food, history, culture.
Right.
So many. We were listening to some music earlier.
Yeah.
There's like boatmen going around. Like
Yeah.
it's really almost like where these things come together in a sense. Do you feel that about?
Yeah, it's inevitable. Like, you know, you keep seeing these visuals all the time, be it like sonically and be it visually, right? Your senses are always active around the river. So for a visual artist, I think we are anyway very sensitive people to and sensitive to the environment. So you have this inspiration all the time. It's just that you have to carry your sketchbook sometimes. So whenever I go outdoors, I carry my sketchbook and, you know, take notes and sketch it out so that I can get back to my home and then, you know, reflect on it and then develop the piece and connect the dots basically, you know.
Sure.
It cannot be random.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you all like what happens if you're someplace and you see a picture or a scene that you really want to be able to draw, but let's say you don't have your tools with you don't have your sketchbook. Is it different to be drawing from memory as opposed to actually sketching out what you're seeing?
Yeah. It does, because when you're sketching out, you're very conscious about the colors which you are picking up. That's a whole different way of approaching artwork, of course. But when you're working from memory, that's a take whole different shape, and that's where your unique style comes in also sometimes. You know, so I think working from memory, you're basically capturing the moment, you're taking in your head, and then you're painting it out.
Yeah.
So you have your technicalities, whatever you have.
Sure.
But then those memories, you know, when you put it, I think it paints a very different picture stylistically and as well as conceptually.
Yeah.
I feel the most of the important works comes out then. You know?
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm always fascinated by this, like how someone can just imagine something and be able to put that on a piece of paper or a page and show it to somebody else, and they know exactly what was going on in your mind. I find that very fascinating.
Yeah.
And I feel that in this film also, like while I'm sure you've seen these things around you, it also feels like you're thinking back to, you know, all these different environments around a river, all these moments around a river that come together in this film. So it's super special, man.
Yeah. I think like you have to think back, right? Like what moment did I felt that time?
Yeah.
The emotional thing, the senses and everything, right? So when you start thinking back, I think you realize that you have captured more than you realized in your head.
Yeah, for sure.
So when you start putting this, all these things starts coming out, you know.
Pours out.
Yeah, exactly. And then you say like, oh my God, this is surprisingly very interesting coming out, you know. And you yourself won't believe that, okay, I have captured this many things, you know, be it colors, the certain shades of colors, right? And those things are always surprises you in the process. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. How long did it take you to work on this piece, like give or take?
It took a little bit longer because like I think I was stuck after the storyboards to visualize how the frames will look like in colors. So I had to, you know, draw a lot of photographic inspirations as well as, you know, go for sites again, sketch back, and then, you know, get back to the process. Became a lot of back and forth, but eventually I got the frames which I wanted to when I put it on the timeline, because we all work with the timeline, right? So and then I think it took me around month and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And is that longer or shorter than you would usually get to work on a piece?
It's longer.
It's longer, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Usually the timelines are like really, you know, crunched. Yeah.
Very cool, man. I want to talk about Zeng, Studio Zeng. Tell me, how did Studio Zeng happen?
I think Studio Zeng started with a graffiti tag. You know, back in college, I was apart from my animation work, I also, you know, had the craze for, you know, spray paints, aerosols. You know, you can tag whatever you want. You know, sort of like a rebel kid there in college. So I had to come up with a 4-letter name. It was shorter, easier to tag. And, that's how I developed this style, and then the word Zeng.
Okay.
But after college, you know, I thought like, you know, I wanted to start my own independent practice, because Indian animation scene is still very crude. So studios, like smaller studios, can take more liberty to do whatever they wanted to. So I was like, okay, let's try to experiment that, right? Because you have more freedom to do certain things. And instead of like doing a lot of outsourced work, you want to do your own practices,
For sure.
right? And tell your own stories. So that's where I think the idea of starting an independent animation studio came. It was not easy, because we didn't know the business side of things, you know, how to kind of do marketing and all that stuff.
And this was when you were in Mumbai, or
This was when I met you in Bombay.
Oh right, okay, cool.
That was
Yeah.
the starting point, you know, where me and my, you know, co-founders, 3 of us started in Bombay.
Nice.
And then the pandemic happened. We came back in our respective cities,
Right.
and then we realized, okay, can we come to Guwahati and meet, because this place is slow, and I think that's the life we also wanted to, you know, balance.
Yeah.
Then after that, when we came to Guwahati, it was very disconnected, of course, from the industry, you know. Then we realized, okay, there's a lot to do with the community here, you know. There are a lot of young talents here who needs animation training, and it's not accessible, right? It's a very hardcore discipline, and it's not easy to, you know, get into it, right? That's why we started doing workshops. We started doing small meetups. We started doing a lot of networking events within the studio space.
Nice.
That's why I met a lot of these interesting young people who started eventually end up working with us, you know. An amazing talent. So that's how that's where we are right now.
Nice.
We're slowly trying to, you know, amp up the quality of animation.
Amazing,
Yeah.
man. Tell me about the word Zeng. You were explaining it to me yesterday, but I want people to know.
Yeah, so the Zeng is this Assamese slang. It's basically doing something rebellious.
Okay.
You know, you go do something Zeng. So I think I quite like that, because we also something like that. We don't know what we want to do, but it's like we just do it, you know. Let's do something fun.
Yeah.
So I think that's where my inspiration, and everybody also liked it, So I'm like, okay, cool, let's keep that Zeng. Yeah,
Nice.
let's stay Zeng.
Nice, amazing.
Yeah.
I feel you're like super connected to your roots, and I think that plays a very important role in not just this film but your work in general and what you guys are doing at Zeng. I think that's super special because you get to engage with the local community, the people around you. It's not some work that's being created in one place for another place. It tells the story of the place that you're from as well. How do you feel people will receive this film? Like people from Guwahati, people who spend time by this river, grew up around this. I think it's got to be quite special to see their world come alive like this, right?
Yeah, I feel like culture is also very sensitive at the same time. When you're representing certain things about communities and the colors, be it dresses, what they're wearing, I think you have to be a little bit sensitive about that as well. So most of the time when I'm not drawing, I'm always reading or collecting visuals and watching films, local films. Like I want to see what people have done before in order to connect back what I'm trying to do in the future.
Sure.
Right? So I think you have to be aware, not just from the surface level, but also historically, politically, socially,
For sure.
very aware, because this place is very interesting and nice with so many diversity, but there is also like a lot of complicacy within those layers, right?
sure, yeah.
So you have to know those nuances for your work to stand out and impact people, because people know it, right? People feel it every day, whatever the joys and pains, right? So as an artist, you have to be honest with that.
Yeah.
So you cannot be just painting a beautiful looking picture,
Yeah.
but it also have to have layers,
Yes.
which kind of encompasses those ideas and context. So, so that's my idea of when I'm creating anything as an artist. As a homework, I have to always be reading and talking to people all the time, be it from different walks of life,
For sure.
so that I'm a little bit aware and not ignorant about it.
course.
So I think that. I feel like whatever I'm so far doing had been received okay. People have given a lot of feedbacks.
Yeah.
So and with the feedbacks, I keep moving on.
Yeah.
Start making it better and better slowly. Yeah.
No, I mean, I got to say, man, I feel like the work you guys do at Zeng is sensitive to those facts and those factors that you're representing a certain kind of people or a certain kind of culture, outfit, food, whatever it might be. So I think that's quite beautiful. What is it like to be doing this work in Guwahati? Are there a lot of studios like Zeng around here? Are you guys kind of the anomaly? Like, what's it like?
It's kind of an anomaly.
Okay.
Because when we started out, there was no other studios who were doing original work, which we were trying to do. So it's an anomaly, and people receive it in a very curious way. What you guys are doing, it's a very meticulous work. Will you even earn your bread doing it?
Right.
A lot of your family, friends, everybody start asking, like, you are doing animation. Is it for kids? How will you earn money? All that. So it's fair because it comes from a place where like animation is still very low key discipline, right? So and my idea is to like make things more aware through our animation. So if there is a certain events or occasion, we at Zeng we kind of make these small clips like
Nice.
15 second or 30 second. So in those 30 second we want to tell a story because we cannot take a lot of time also because we have our projects going on, which is like the bread and butter, right?
Yeah.
And in between that you have to kind of be active in doing what you're doing, right? Like the local voices and stuff, right? So I think it's a challenge setting up a studio here in Northeast because you're not connected to the industry. But it's also another joy because you're creating in a space like this,
For sure.
where your daily inspirations are there. At the end of the day, animation is an art, it's an art form. So wherever your inspirations are, you should be there, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, man. I couldn't have expected anything better. That was fantastic. And thank you for bringing us to this beautiful place. Let's
so
head over to your studio and dive deeper into
Yeah.
the project.
Let's go.
So, Amalendu, we're at your studio. I see that sketchbook staring at me.
Yeah.
So, why don't you tell me what's in there?
So
What's
essentially, my sketchbook is like my holy grail because all my notes, field notes. So I carry the sketchbook not just for doing sketching inside my house or my studio.
Okay.
I mostly carry outdoors. So
Okay.
everything I'm going, traveling, having coffee, it's just all captured here.
Nice.
So I do this thing called gesture drawing.
Okay.
So these are like quick, fast, and people are not static, right? Everybody is moving.
Yeah.
So to capture the moment, I guess like these sketchbooks helps you to connect those moments.
Nice.
And then I come back and take those inspiration and translate to a maybe artwork, maybe animation. I don't know, but these are basically stories from the streets.
Nice. It
Yeah.
also seems like a form of exercise in just form and,
Yeah.
and structure.
Yeah, because if you don't do this raw version of capturing life,
Yeah.
I guess you will be too much dependent on references,
Right.
which is Pinterest or something. I mostly prefer doing things from life.
Yeah.
It gives you a much better understanding
For sure.
of life around you, both
sure.
technically but also conceptually.
Yeah. Amazing, man. Nice. Why don't we get into Born of the River?
Yeah, so
how did this whole thing come together? In terms of the various processes that go into something like this getting done.
Yeah, so I think technically if I have to speak, production for animation starts with the script and the idea. But here I try to do the whole script and idea in a storyboard format. So basically I'm just essentially playing with the frames and then see if this connects.
Okay.
Because connecting the dots is something I've done it later on.
Yeah.
But essentially what my storyboard is, all the sketches which I'm doing randomly here, I'm translating to a story here in the iPad.
Right. You're putting the structure.
Putting the
together over
structure to
here.
it. So
Yeah, cool.
essentially it started with a very raw, crude drawing and framing, right?
Okay.
And then I thought, okay, how about we connect this silhouette
Right.
with that, right? And then
Nice.
so that the transitions are seamless, because in animation we try to play a lot with transitions,
For sure.
right? And we're playing with timing and everything. So
And what would this part of the pipeline be called?
this part
for
is
someone who
called
doesn't know?
basically storyboard/animatic.
Okay.
So basically, this is the most economic and faster method to visualize your whole film.
Right.
In terms of pacing, in terms of structure, because at this stage you can do a rough sketch sound design as well, or
Yeah,
music.
yeah.
So that plays overall mood, and at the same time you kind of develop the style frames, which are basically the design process, right? How the
Right.
frames are
How
coming
are things
out.
going to look when they're finished?
Correct.
Yeah.
And it's at this stage it's very difficult to tell somebody how the motion will be, but it's all in my head.
Right.
And through the animation.
You can see it.
Yeah. You don't see it smoothly, but I can see it going
Yeah.
very seamlessly with each other, right?
Nice.
So I think this is the stage which is most crucial for me,
Right.
where most of the brain work happens,
Right.
because it has to make sense.
And the story gets put together.
Yeah, and if we don't emphasize more time on this one, the final film will look really off and
Right.
jittery.
So is
yeah.
it safe to say that the animatic is where you spend most of your time?
Most of the time is animatic, iterations after iterations. In any project, actually, the animatic stage and storyboard is the most important, crucial part.
Got it. Got
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Awesome. Cool. So once you have your animatic, you have your
Yeah.
style frames,
Yeah.
what happens next?
So essentially, since this project is something which I have been working along with my other projects as well,
Yeah.
so I think it was much easier for me to carry the iPad
Right.
and animate here itself. So
Okay.
I was basically animating on this software called Dreams.
Okay.
It's by Procreate, and it's very handy. You can animate everything and anything
Nice.
which I wanted in 4K, 8K, whatever you wanted.
Okay.
So all this ideation and animation was done mostly here.
Okay.
From here, I take it to my system, where in After Effects,
Okay.
that is not replaceable. This is one software I've been using
sure.
all the time. So,
Yeah.
so in After Effects, I basically kind of get all this compositing done, right? So let's say this scene which was animated in Procreate Dreams, which
Yeah.
is you don't have the background and the transition much,
Right.
but here we have all the blooms, the lighting, the mood setting. So
That sort of finish comes
the
in.
finish happens here. You add those blurs and stuff, right?
Nice.
So
Nice.
you can do it here as well,
Yeah.
but this is much more controlled.
Sure,
you can
yeah.
you can have more liberty to do it. Yeah.
Nice. So all the different pieces that you're building on here
Yeah.
are then coming onto this
Yeah.
to get assembled.
All
Yeah.
things assembled here in finally in After Effects,
Okay.
and then that's pretty much the export happens from there.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah.
I want to talk about some of these scenes because I
Yeah.
feel like you've captured so many distinct moments that associate to the river.
Right.
So yeah, I'd love it if you could tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, the idea was born of the river, which basically the tributaries and the life which is around this river. This river is like, it has life, it has culture, it has all the other aspects, right? It has nature. So I try to capture small bits of these things, right? And in this particular scene where there is this dheki, this is basically rice pounding tool, right? So these two ladies are basically rice pounding and preparing for the Bihu, basically. The festival in Assam, where we kind of have a lot of rice cakes, a lot of rice items, right? So this is rice, I thought, is a very essential part of our culture, right? So that's why I wanted to represent, but from a different angle, right? So, and from this I was thinking, okay, well, what if this lady also does weaving?
Right.
So because Assam is also known for a lot of variety of textiles and designs, and
the
there's
silk.
the silk, the Muga silk, and there's so many variety of designs and patterns and motifs, which is itself is an art form on its own.
For sure.
Right. So I thought, okay, why not we show the weaving lady, and from there we also go to the mask making process, which is part of the Vaishnavite culture in Majuli, which is the largest river.
I was going to ask you about the mask, because I feel like India in general has masks in so many different parts and cultures and history, and also in dance forms and theatre, so on and so forth. I'd love to know what this mask is about and where it comes from.
So essentially, I told you the Vaishnavite culture, it's all about Vishnu's worship, and there are a lot of stories around that. So in Majuli, what they did was, in Vaishnavite culture, they have these theatres, the religious theatres. So they want to convey all the religious stories through these performances. And in the performance art and the dancing and the storytelling, they use this mask. So the actors wear this mask. These are very interesting people. Some people become demons, there's like gods, there's like monsters. It's very interesting. And Rash, we call it Rash in Assam. It's a very famous part in like the culture. It happens during the winters. Everybody goes, the whole village goes to see that. It's an experience on its own. So I wanted to put this mask. Also, I have a lot of fascination for masks. Because I grew up watching a lot of Japanese masks, and I was like, okay, we also have our own mask.
For sure.
And at one point, I even had a lot of these designs which have been translated to a street dystopian futuristic mask, which is from Assam. Like some of our mascot in Zeng, we all have characters which are wearing masks. So these are like a primal inspiration for us.
Nice.
And basically it ends with a lady who's wearing a mask.
Amazing, amazing. And then earlier on in the film, you have a few other characters as well.
So I also wanted to show the faces of the people from this land, where how people have a different sort of features and the way their attires are, their lifestyles are. So how do you show that? So I was trying to capture all those things, because I have been to a lot of these villages and going and sketching. There was one time there was a lot of flood happening in the areas, but I still went there and sat with the locals, and they gave me a seat. Initially they thought कि ये बंदा कुछ threatening करने आया, कुछ तो document करके चला जाएगा, he's a reporter or something like that. But as soon as you start drawing them in the most crude way, suddenly there's a vibe changes, the energy changes, and there's an exchange of communication happens, and these localites kind of give you water, and they're also, all of the kids gathers around you to see what's the final
like the
product.
guards drop.
Exactly. So I have captured a lot of those moments, and those are like the physical, experiential thing. So I thought, like, why not I put all those inspirations, like these people and these faces. This is a lady who's from the Ahom kingdom. So this kingdom has ruled in Assam for almost 600 years. And they have an insignia which is a dragon. Right? So I was like, okay, why don't you put this sword to the lady and she's looking at this dragon, So I thought this is an interesting thing to put it there. And then of course the cultural icon Zubin Garg, we wanted to showcase that. So he's like the rock star of Assam. So Assam is known for, he only says that, Assam is known for the rhino, and the silk and Zubin Garg, So yeah, that is what the scene is all about.
Yeah, beautiful, man. I think you've captured like so many different perspectives of life around the river and the place that you're from, the place you call home. I think it's beautiful, and I'm very excited for everyone to see the film. You've also done some really interesting work on the sound. I'd love to talk about that a little bit too.
Yeah, so our studio in animation is always dependent on sound, right? Initially, we used to get sounds from other studios and all, right? But it was a little bit difficult because sound is also a process which works really closely in close proximity to animation. So I also had an affinity towards sound, and I have been also doing a lot of experiments with Ableton and ambient music and everything. So few of my friends, who are my schoolmates, they also got together and we started a sound lab here because we know, okay, animation, even if our in-house projects or small project, we need sound design and music. So that's how this became handy. Okay, why not we do this Absolut piece in our own studio?
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Super, man. Thank you so much. I'm very excited for everyone to see the piece. Like I said, thank you so much for coming on board. And yeah, excited for everything you and Studio Zeng have coming up next.
For
bro.
sure.
Yeah,
Let's go.
awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Amalendu.
much.
Cheers.
Yes.